I think it's going to be difficult to pinpoint exact trends. I think what we'll see is hopefully a recovery in some of the commodities that have been going through a dip. Hopefully we'll see a turn up in both PGMs and lithium and some of the other minerals. I'm still hoping to see a downturn in interest rates. There've been a number of sort of promising signs that inflation is starting to come down, especially in the developed world. Hopefully we'll see that filter through into interest rates, and we'll see a pickup in demand for commodities as a sort of secondary effect. And just to take pressure off consumers generally, that'll filter through into the mining industry. I think some of the more difficult things to predict though is with the investments that are going into renewable energy and battery technology in particular, it's quite difficult to know for certain what minerals will be in demand, even in the short to medium term. We've seen a number of changes in battery chemistry. We've seen new kinds of batteries, and so it's quite difficult to predict in advance how the different technological developments will filter through into mining trends. And the challenge we have in mining of trying to respond to those, it's going to be difficult to pick out an overall impact of those those trends and events. One of them would be just the establishment of consulting as a business, and the recognition that the founders had that there was a niche for a sort of specialized technical consulting. The mining houses at that time had large workforces. They had sort of comprehensive skills, but there's still a role for people who specialize in difficult technical problems, and in finding innovative solutions to problems. And so they recognized that as a potential market, and much against sort of the wisdom of the time, they established SRK, and we followed a very similar approach since founding. So we've tried to bring people in that can solve problems that require a sort of a broader experience than you can get in one company. It requires you to be exposed to different disciplines and different mining problems or different challenges found in different locations, and requires you to sort of be in a team where you have to interact with other disciplines to come up with solutions and provide integrated solutions. So that's something that hasn't really changed since the start. Some of the ways we've influenced mining, though, is we've always had a strong involvement in the regulatory space. So some of the people at SRK were certainly some of the founders of some of the mining codes, have played very strong roles in organizations like the SIMM, which I think is the oldest institute of sort of mining institute in the world. And we've played roles in really trying to bring the different groups together, in trying to understand all of our stakeholders, in trying to provide reassurance to investors, and some of which are mining companies. When they buy assets, we provide assurance to them that the asset that they're buying is what they think it is. So it's So those are some of the roles. So it's the innovation, it's the assurance, it's the trying to shape safeguards in the industry, trying to influence industry bodies, into trying to find a balance between providing enough assurance, even around things like ESG and decarbonization, but also without becoming, without creating a sort of a burden on mining companies that's too onerous. Yeah, I think it's essential. Certainly we see it as essential for our business. There's a number of ways that innovation happens. So one of them is about recognizing how sort of a practice or something in one discipline can be used to solve a problem in a different discipline. It's innovation around how we bring teams together so that they can understand how they impact each other's context. So we understand, we talk a lot about integrating ESG into the different disciplines. Some of these things, permits require geotechnical assessments. So integrated teams know that permits get rejected when you don't have a geotechnical assessment, so they work more closely with the geotechnical department when putting in EIAs and water applications. And so some of those are innovations around process, just bringing people together in a way that maybe wasn't done previously. Some of them is around integrating or taking advantage of advances in computer technology. So obviously we've seen AI, but we've also seen ways in which we can harness virtual computing and other things to maybe solve the same problems, but to solve them in timelines that make it a realistic option for a project. Previously it just took too long to run the calculations for something to be of interest to a client. Now we can run those calculations, and because we can run them in a reasonable time frame, we can use them in a number of different projects, and we can use them to inform everything from exploration to tailings management, using new computing power that's available. So those are all places where innovation happens, and obviously then you have innovation around how are we going to decarbonize operations. So those kinds of things require innovation as well. And then we're constantly looking out for ways to help clients not spend more than they need to. So some of the innovation is around is really around optimization and thinking about ways that we could do something differently in a way that's of benefit to the client, financially, but without placing any additional safety risk. I think for us the biggest risk is not continuing to grow and to integrate. We have to learn continuously. So we have to understand more and more what are the trends in ESG, what are the trends in decarbonization, what are the trends in different commodities, what are the sort of technology trends, how is mining equipment changing, and then above that we have to make sure we keep learning about the tailings facilities that we're managing and that we're designing. So the risk really is that you sit still, and the impact of not managing that risk is really failure at some point, either failure to meet your client's needs, or in the instance of something like tailings is that there's an actual failure of a tailings facility, which is obviously a catastrophe we're all trying to avoid. So all of it is really around how do we improve a little bit on last year, and as long as we're improving our knowledge of the industry, we're improving our knowledge of the trends, and I think the thing we'd add is also to not forget that we have influence in the industry. So not all trends just have to be accepted as well. This is just going to run its course, but we can speak into the trend and shift it a little bit. And there's always space for saying, well, have we gone too far with something? Is this now overly onerous? Is this no longer achieving the goal we set out? And to rationalize something. So those are all things that, I think the risk is there something I think in particular that will happen in 2024? No, I think it would be failure to sort of recognize the trends that are developing over time. Be failure to keep learning. We know that it's important, for example, to integrate ESG into different disciplines. The risk is that we don't get better at doing it. And would that have an impact in 2024 specifically? Maybe not. But certainly over time, it could lead to you being irrelevant or no longer having relevant advice for your clients. Mining Indaba 2024 was a great opportunity to reconnect with everybody from colleagues to clients to friends, people that you've been seeing for a decade or more in the same place at the same time. Some really productive discussions, some really good insights, just being able to talk to people who are making decisions and who are doing interesting things and confronting some of the many challenges that we face. So really good to be able to catch up with people that I enjoy seeing and enjoy spending time with and really are really engaging.